So you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. A year after making it to the Eastern Conference Semifinals, you're fired.
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau has been fired by the New York Knicks.
You must have said something that really pissed off. Is it Siri? Siri?
It's Siri.
Okay.
You call her Siri?
I don't use her. So.
It's Siri.
Siri, why was Tom Thibodeau fired?
Look, I think I just look at this situation, and maybe it's just like a bigger theme of what's happening in today's NBA world. Last summer, Mike Brown got a contract extension. He was fired like 3 months later. Last summer, Tom Thibodeau was given a contract extension. Here he is, like a year later, getting fired. They owe him $30 million. I'm not acting like Tom Thibodeau is not blameless in this. There are definitely things we could talk about. It. I just think for a team that has had so many coaches come in and out, I looked back today and I was like, how many coaches have lasted 4 or more years since like 2002 or whatever when Van Gundy left?
Wait, with the Knicks?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking sadly around the league because I was like, wow, can we go there? But
no, basically. I think you're thinking about maybe the Kings.
Well, yeah, but
we're experts in that.
Yes, exactly.
2. It's Mike D'Antoni and Tom Thibodeau.
Oh.
And that's just not a lot. I mean, we talk about what they accomplished this year. They made the conference finals for the first time in 25 years. Did they reach the end goal? Did they exceed expectations? No and no. But what happened to the days of going, all right, well, this was his first year with this particular group. Let's sit down and talk about things. Hey, how do we tweak the offense so it's not so reliant on Jalen Brunson? Why don't we tweak this? There's no collaboration. It's, oh, we didn't get there. You're gone.
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking my basketball love language. I've said this even being in Sacramento at times, you know, where like there's been obvious coaches in Sacramento that weren't the right coaches and understand when you have to move on, whatever, blah, blah. Other things weren't happening though. But at the same time, I think when you look at any sport especially basketball, patience, time together, collaboration, chemistry, all these different building, growing together, experience, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can, the Knicks could learn so much from just what they went through this year together. And like, how do you grow off that?
What tweaks can you make to the roster? What styles of play can you make?
Now,
make changes to.
I think a lot of people do go to, well, when the Warriors did it with Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr, like, look, they got over the hump. I guess, like, yeah, there's a world where that happens, but I feel like there's no patience for that. And I think especially in some of these markets like New York, like Boston, where it's like cutthroat, do your shit or get the fuck out kind of situation. It's just not how I feel like basketball is supposed to grow. Again, then people are going to push back on me and be like, you know how much money are in these businesses? You know how much, this is just a business at this point. It's not even basketball, but
it's a business. And why would you light $30 million on fire for a coach not to coach for you? I'm reminded of this quote. I pulled it up. It was what Spoelstra had to say after Mike Brown got fired. And I love this.
Yeah.
Because if there's an epitome of, I don't know, stability over the years, you know, Spoelstra, right?
Yeah,
you think about Spoelstra and Kerr
ups and downs too.
Popovich, before he decided to step back. His quote was this: "Some of our best moments have been when we've lost or we struggled with things, and you all get in a room, and basically the organization says, figure it the F out.
Yep.
There are no changes.
Yep.
The league is hard. You have to go through adversity together as an entire organization if you're going to break through and get to the other side. But yeah, that sucks." I guess my point is like, it's just, and maybe some of this is on Tom Thibodeau, where, there's so many people who look at him and go, he's kind of stubborn. He likes to play his starters a shit ton of minutes. He doesn't trust his bench. You look at the offense, it can be stagnant at times.
Sure.
You know, he's a big personality that likes it his way. So maybe that's what it comes down to. He didn't want to change, but it's just a shame that we just cycle through these coaches so fast nowadays.
And especially after you see success. Like some of the coaches that see the losing streak and then they get fired, I still, for the most part, don't just agree with it. I think it's an instant reaction. It's like, it's a long season. Let's calm down. But I think with this especially, it didn't surprise me when I saw the news today because I was like, this happens
Yeah.
nowadays. Like, this is the culture, and this is always what happens. Like, I always said it to you. I said, this is what happens in the NFL all the time, and it pisses me off. And now you're seeing it more and more become more and more consistent in the NBA.
Last 5 coaches of the year. This is for Bobby Marks. Tom Thibodeau won it in 21. No longer with the Knicks. Monty Williams won it in 22 with the Suns, and no longer with the Suns. Mike Brown won it in 2023 with the Kings, no longer with the Kings. After that, you got Dagnall. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. And then last year, Kenny Atkinson won it with the Cavs. So kind of crazy to see so many coaches of the year being.
You even say Dagnall not going anywhere anytime
He's
soon.
not.
Like,
He's
I feel that same way, but I'm also like,
Spoelstra category.
yeah,
Trust.
yeah. And no, and I trust that with Presti, and I trust that with that organization. No, you're exactly right. And I think like there's more organizations that just need to do a better job of when they are committing not only millions of their dollars to someone, they need to commit to the personality, to who they are as a person, to being able to communicate with them. Because if you don't like something as an owner, a president, or whatever it is, you should be able to communicate that, and it should be able to be challenged back if it needs to be challenged back. Like, that's like, we're all adults here, and it's a cutthroat business, but like, that's how you figure things out. You go through the adversity, and then you just keep going up.
I think expectations were obviously much higher this year. You make a trade, giving up so much draft capital to go get Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
You trade for Karl Anthony Towns, and you get one round further. That's also with the Celtics, Tatum getting hurt, even though the Knicks were in control at that point. But you ultimately lose. If you would have said before the season, hey, you get Cat, you get Bridges, and by the way, Jason Tatum's going to be rupturing his Achilles. You're like, oh my God, maybe the Knicks come out of the East. You don't think it's going to be the Pacers. So I think those expectations got them. But I think the other thing, just watching them in the playoffs and in the regular season, there were too many times where it felt like it was such a Brunson heavy offense. And I'm looking around going, I understood that last year in the playoffs when they were so banged up. OG was out. It's so many injuries. This year, it should have been you had Karl Anthony Towns, and I don't feel like they maximized that. The pick and roll game with those two never materialized to something that was truly like beautiful. I just think they had so much more offensive potential that they never tapped into, and maybe that falls on Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah,
and then not trusting the depth, not even trying it until their backs are up against the wall. When all of a sudden they dust up DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, and you're like, oh, well, maybe they could have helped out earlier.
Deuce, those things absolutely fall on Thibs, but the same thing can be true where it's like, if that is communicated, and if Thibs is a willing communicator, which like from the outside, I'd be like, that guy doesn't want to talk to anyone, but I could be completely wrong. He could be the nicest guy ever. I'm not in that market. I'm not around that team. I don't know his personality in that situation. I just know from obviously what has been reported. But I think ultimately, like anything in life, if you face those challenges and what you might have done wrong as a coach, as a player, as an organization, you make those tweaks. You can make those tweaks and learn from it.
The Knicks had back-to-back 50-win seasons for the first time since 1995. This year, making it to the conference finals for the first time since 2000. ESPN had this too. Tom Thibodeau, a 579 win percentage, the highest by any coach without a finals appearance.
Yeah, again, I mean, there's things to show. Like,
he's had success.
You asked me, like, do you think Thibs is a good coach? Just like that direct question. I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, again, he's not coaching me, but when you look at some of his track record and what he's done in a league that is supposed to be the best of the best, yeah, he's seen success. And by the way, there's only one team that wins every year, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I think that also, like, there's so many markets, especially on the East Coast, that are so cutthroat. It's like their standards are championship or bust.
Well, and that's why I wonder with this, like, let's just say they somehow beat the Pacers. Would that have been good enough, a finals appearance, and then they get clapped by OKC? Like, would that have been good enough for him to keep the job? I don't know. And maybe that's what they're banking on is, hey, we've got the talent. We'll make some subtle tweaks, and we have a coach that we bring in that's a little more open-minded to changing things offensively and get the most of what we have, not only in our starting lineup with the weapons, but our bench.
Again, I'm coming from talking about an organization that loses a lot,
but
right?
to be fair, the Knicks have too, and that's the other thing. They've had a lot of down years the last 25 years.
But like I'm just saying personally, like I've been a part of a lot of winning personally myself. So like I got to see what growth within can actually be within the basketball world. And I know it's so different from a younger age to a professional sport. I completely am not comparing that. I completely understand. But at the same time, I think it's like it can go for anything in life. It's just like, yeah, if you see something that can have success and you can grow on, then maybe you should stick with that. Because if you just give up, become a prisoner of the moment, then whatever is going to happen.
It'll be interesting to see where they go. So many people have talked about Michael Malone as a potential guy, but
I
I'm like,
saw so many coaches' names already.
How different is that than Tom Thibodeau?
What'd you think about the Jay Wright thing? Did you even think, run it back with Villanova?
I mean, it would be fascinating, but he also retired. But maybe he's just like,
fun story.
I got out of the college game because of NIL, and then I go reunite with Brunson and Bridges,
again,
and maybe Josh Hart.
From this point, I like stories and fun little angles.
That's interesting. Dan Hurley from UConn also mentioned. So we'll see where they go from here. I have a Kings related question. What do you think? Hear me out. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But Scott Perry was obviously involved in hiring Tom Thibodeau in New York. Is there any chance like Scott Perry can pick up the phone like, hey, I know you're going to get back in the coaching game, but we'll pay you $4 million a year. Okay, maybe not $2 million a year, and be Doug Christie's like lead assistant just for a year, and you can go off and do whatever you want after that.
I mean,
there's no chance.
You say that there's no chance, but like,
I guess my thought was like, well, I feel like he could get any lead assistant job in the league, and he could get a head coaching gig again. I would assume. I think he gets one more chance in the league because he just has a track record of coming in and improving. He hasn't been able to get a team to a championship yet, obviously, but like he has a track record of establishing like a foundation and the culture of toughness and defense and discipline.
I think ultimately today, like everything that I am seeing with Thibs is like, like who's going to be the next coach, and is he even a good coach? Oh my God, like, yeah, good. Blame it on him. And then other people, like don't blame it on him. I think why we talk about this today from our outside perspective is like obviously coming from a place that goes through a lot of different coaches, but then now you even saw it in this last year. A lot of different organizations fire their coaches late in the season, stick with the interim head coach going into this next year. It's just I'm curious where this next era of NBA coaching firing / sticking with that same coach thing is going.
I think what you're starting to see is like
it's happening a lot.
You got to be able.
The theme.
And I don't know. Tom Thibodeau has been stubborn in the past. Okay, I'm not saying he's a bad person, but I think he's been stubborn in the past. And I think what you're seeing is like guys who butt heads with front offices or maybe players are like, I don't know about their messaging, how they're approaching things. I don't know if it lasts in today's league. I think, gone are the days where like a coach just coaches. You have to be able to deal with the media,
have relationship with players.
Yeah, like be able to communicate effectively, toe that line of like being cool with the players, but also holding them accountable. It's just evolved. Whether you like that or not, it has evolved. And if you're not willing to adapt to that, I think what you're seeing is maybe these teams are like, I'll go with this younger person and maybe they can understand what today's basketball world needs.
Yeah, but I guess sometimes where I mean, I can sit here and say what I don't like, and it can sound like I'm a basketball purist or whatever. And it's like, no, I think it goes to even college basketball where you and I were talking about the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And just how easy it is for players to be like, I don't like them as a coach. I don't like this team. I'm out. Like you can transfer just like that. Like there's never nobody ever has to face the next step of challenges and fight through the challenges. And it's like these people with so much money being able to pay out 30 million, whatever, 20 million, whatever for a coach for however many years. It's like, even that doesn't stop them anymore. And
No.
so like, I just wish there was something that was holding these, I guess, people with those powers above, I don't want to say accountable, but just like more just giving them more of a reason to not just make a sudden move all the time, you know? But
Yeah,
it is what
I don't
it
know how
is.
you change that. I don't know.
I've never been a billionaire, you know?
It would be like, do you all of a sudden you have a salary cap on coaches? So if you cut them, it goes against your set coaching cap. No,
Now
I don't like
we're
that.
talking.
I don't want that. Then all of a sudden we're like, they can't sign that coach because they're not under the cap. Like, no, I don't want that. Let me know what you guys think about Tom Thibodeau being gone from New York. What's next for the Knicks? And does Tom Thibodeau get another gig? Hit the comments below, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The